Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today is a special day. We have a new Moebius work that's been translated into English in the Dark Horse Moebius library. Unfortunately, their Moebius library seems to be coming out very slowly and seems to be very incomplete in terms of the works that it collects. But I know the estate is supposedly kind of a pain in the ass to deal with, so we're happy when we get anything. This is collection of later work, things that were done. I forget what the date was. Let's see, 1997 and 2009. So later Moebius works, going back to the earlier work, the Airtight Garage and the Major. And if you've read the other Dark Horse library stuff, especially the Inside Moebius editions, this is quite a bit like that in the sense that you have Moebius returning to the bunker in the desert. It's very much like stream of consciousness. It looks to me like he's just picking up a pen and going. I think that's the rules on the Airtight Garage stuff, but I've never had a chance to read all that because it's not collected. And I think the rule here is that he's just going straight to ink. So the story here is very much like the Inside Moebius stuff where, yeah, he's just having a conversation with himself using his characters, and this isn't much different. You can see right out the gate, you have Moebius himself encountering the Major in the desert, and he's inside of one of these bunkers. So in that sense, like what the narrative's about, I don't think this is the most interesting book. I think there's a lot of stuff like this out there from Moebius where he's kind of just waxing philosophically, waxing existentially about nature in a very French way. I'm not a fan of French philosophy. I think their language, the way their language works, has them all twisted and backwards and messed up. And so that kind of angst shows up, and Moebius is constantly arguing. And content-wise, I don't find that stuff particularly interesting. So what I have to comment on here mostly is stuff going on in the art, or if there are little bits of dialogue. One thing I noticed that's really cool is this page here is a collaborative page between Moebius and Nausicaa, given some other things in the book. I'm assuming Nausicaa is one of his children, which is really cool to see that he obviously respected Miyazaki's work enough to name one of his children after Nausicaa. The mutual respect between greats like that is always really interesting. A large part of what's going on in this book is just characters kind of arguing about God or the idea of the creator. So you have the Major arguing about that in relation to Moebius. This seems like a pretty well played out trope to me in comics by now. You Grant Morrison, Dave Sim, you have all these characters that, these authors that come in and acknowledge the fact that they're like gods over their little world. I don't think that's particularly interesting thought. A lot of people play that trick, so it's not interesting. But I do like the image that Moebius has here, where the characters are like denying the existence of God, basically. But then between this bird that's flying and the clouds in the sky, you get the face of God upside down. I think the eyes are a little obvious. It's not the most like hidden image in the hidden image trick box, but kind of a cool one. And, you know, for someone sitting down playing straight to pin, like a lot of very cool visuals in here. When you get Moebius at his best, you know, you're getting images like this. He really seems to love that image of the fallen man, the fallen person. And again, if this is all happening straight to ink, these are some pretty great drawings here. So that's what this book is about to me. It's just the visual delight of seeing Moebius do this tightrope walk, and when he lands it, he lands it. It's really great. Unfortunately, there are some panels where he doesn't land it. Actually, I should say, fortunately, you get some images like this that, I don't know, this doesn't even look like a Moebius drawing to me. It looks like someone else drew it. The anatomy's all jacked up. The line is weird. The paper looks like it got... Oh no, that's just my copy of the book. The paper looks wrinkled. So it's nice to see that someone as great as Moebius has their failures every now and then, and this one doesn't acknowledge that someone else was drawing along. So I'm not sure, but that just doesn't... That maybe Nausicaa's drawing in there again, but it doesn't look like his work. There's also a lot of just really awful things going on with the production in here. I don't know if that's Dark Horse's fault or if that's the Moebius estate's fault, if these are just the files that Dark Horse was given. But the printing on this is abysmal. It's so bad that even like holding it at arm's length, I can see the dots that the images are made out of, like the panel borders are made out of visible dots to me. And then this one here has like some pencil imagery that wasn't taken out, or there's just these strange like black dots in there that look like there was some gray that didn't get adjusted out and then got converted to black and white or something. I don't know. So it's pretty unfortunate that you have work that was made, this drawing here was 2001, and we don't have proper, and this is work by, one of the most important artists of the last 100 years, and we don't have proper scans of it, or they're not bothering to reproduce it pretty accurately. They're not bothering to take their time to print it in black and white, like every manga company knows how to deal with black and white. I don't know why Dark Horse doesn't need to deal with black and white. So given that the fact that I'm into this mostly for the visual appeal of Moebius's artwork, that's a big turnoff. A fun little formalism here, nothing big, but a cool idea. Where you have the Major locked inside of the bunker, and because of that, Moebius is able to have the little balloon go in there and turn basically the whole exterior of the bunker into the word balloon, and kind of let other people's words in there. I think that's just a fun visual trick. I think you could probably do more with it than that, but that's the fun thing about freestyling, is you stumble into tricks like that just naturally. Here you can see they're encountering the author, it's here, it's the author. So it definitely has that like meta insertion thing to it. You can also see on this page that it seems like depending on the day that Moebius was drawing, you get like more or less Moebius, or where he's at in the story. So there are plenty of things like this where he's not just in the desert in a box. You're getting like really, really nice, fantastical Moebius images. Here's another example of that, like his kind of ribbony, tentacly looking designs that he does in a lot of things. Particularly like this surreal sequence here where he leans back into this face and becomes the nose. Those are the kinds of things that I think we enjoy most about Moebius, is those surrealist aspects of his work, the fantastical aspects, the strange creatures. That's what everyone's coming to Moebius for. So it's really exciting to see a lot of that in here. We get another reference to Nausicaa, so again, I think that is a shout out to one of Moebius's children. At the bottom of the page here, I actually just noticed this. It's signed Matoti, so this looks like actually Moebius was probably collaborating with Lorenzo Matoti on this page. That's actually really, really cool. I hadn't even noticed that when I put that on there. And then this one has D. Lustal, so these look like maybe there was a sequence of collaborative images then, maybe, because that doesn't look so much like a Moebius drawing. It looks like some other kind of thing. Yeah, this is someone else. Avril? That would just be April. That's definitely a different hand than Moebius. And this is Juilliard. Oh, this is cool. Okay, yeah, he's definitely collaborating with a bunch of different people here. That's cool. I hadn't even noticed that earlier, because there's so much where they're just kind of drawing in this simple, clean line. Yeah, now that I really take a look at it, that makes sense. That's really fun. I'm actually going to be doing this with Brandon Graham and some other people I'll show you in the back of this book. So it's interesting to see. It looks like, my best guess now that I'm encountering this in the moment, is that Moebius would do this and then hand it off to someone else, and then he would hand that off to someone else, and then he would draw, and back and forth. Yeah, that's really cool. Some more peak Moebius here, and Raphael. I don't know who Raphael is. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the signatures more carefully in this book. I didn't notice that. At the end of the book, all of the kind of like existential pondering that goes on just really leads to like a return to the garden. There's obviously like the sexualized thing. So the content in terms of story, in terms of where Moebius comes, in terms of the conclusion, like what the conclusions he comes to, I think it's like a typical open-ended but typical suggestion of like return to the garden type of stuff that you get in Moebius. So then again, like, the content's not that interesting. Here we have another signature, W. Van, it looks like. Yeah, I'm really gonna have to pay more attention to that because that's cool. Then in the back of the book, you get a number of like major airtight garage desert related pinups that Moebius has done. There's a little bit by Moebius about the major. There's a nice couple page comic here that's in color. There's some more color pinups that I think are, you know, the kinds of things that we all love seeing from Moebius, these really fantastical things. I do hope that at some point the Moebius library really goes complete and gets all of his sketches and all of the things like this and really just gives us the fullest collection we could get of this master's work. Because when you see things like this piece here that are in gouache, it looks like it's just gorgeous. I would love to have books and books full of this stuff. The other thing that's really cool about this piece is it's very clear to see, very easy to see how it was made. Like its making is very clear. There's some stuff that doesn't make sense to me though. I don't know if it's a matter of scanning or what, but there is like a very obvious cut right here, rectangular. I don't know where the other side of that comes. It just looks like it ends right here. So it looks like maybe there was a piece cut out and put on top of another piece. There's a lot of evidence of the pencil drawing underneath that got painted over but not totally covered over, and he just left it. Really interesting differences in textures, like here on the wing where this cut is happening, there's a very clear difference in color and texture, so that makes me think even more that this might have been like put on afterwards. So some really interesting stuff to see in the art there when you have like the originals. And then this particular book has in the back of it two blank pages and a piece from Moebius that says, "There is a blank page at the end of this book where the readers are free to express their disapproval by way of a drawing or their own writing, or they can rip the page up or spit on it instead, or even burn it with a cigarette. Why not?" So I've decided that instead of trashing on Moebius's work, since I find nothing to trash on other than that this one in particular is just kind of repetitive from some of his other work, instead I would do an homage to Moebius's influence on me and grab a pen and go straight to ink and try and operate within the rules of the airtight garage. And so I did a little 2-panel comic here, and I'm going to send this to Brandon Graham and ask him to fill in the next tier, and then he'll pass it on to whoever and they'll fill in the bottom, and then hopefully we can get 2, 3, 4 more artists involved in this. And then the goal is to auction this copy of the major with all of our like straight to ink extensions of the Moebius story here as a little goodie in the end, and then the funds from that will go to the Heroes Initiative. That's what me and Brandon have talked about. I don't know who's going to get the book next. I'll just leave it up to Brandon, and then it will be like a game of telephone. So hopefully I'll get the book back and I can scan it and we can include that in a collection of something at some point. But that's the goal for this book. Because it has that in the end. And then, of course, I do want a copy from... I really actually want the copy with all the drawings, but we can't do that. So I'll get myself another copy of the major, and at some point, once we get all 6, 7 artists contributed to this, we'll try and auction this very special copy of the major that has 6 or 7 artists who respect and are influenced by Moebius collaborating to create a comic in the back.